Could you survive Armageddon? The what page? Could you survive Armageddon? Do you believe Armageddon is coming our way? Or do you believe that something could happen that you wouldn't be prepared for? If you found yourself tonight, suddenly, without water, without heat, without light, without food, what could you do? Would you be ready for it? There's a group of people called survivalists. In America, they call them preppers. And looking at the website for the Americans, with all due respect to the Americans, they're nuts. Absolute. Some of them are completely bonkers. There's a whole blog about how you should have your car prepared for a nuclear winter. There's a whole blog there about that. Mind you, in America, there might be, I mean, seeing as Obama has now pretty much declared war on the Islamic State, there might be some bit of sense in what the Americans are talking about. But do we really need to worry about that here in this part of the world? There's a group of people who think we should, and we should be ready. We'll talk to them in 2 minutes.
The Opinion Line on Cork's 96.
Yeah, I know, it's the music from Bear Grylls. I often watch that guy on the telly, you know, and I wonder, he did some shows in Ireland. He did one about surviving, I think, up in the Connemara, the outback in Connemara. And just imagine he's coming up, climbing up through this thicket of trees and whatever, and you can just imagine there's probably a great big Sentra up on the road, you know, it's not that far away. But it's a fun show to watch. But there are a group of people who prepare themselves in the way, maybe, that Bear Grylls does, or maybe even a little bit more extreme, for that which might happen. Is it Armageddon, or is it just being left without supplies of light and heat? And we're going to talk to one or two of these people and find out, are they genuine in what they believe, or are they red mad? And moreover, what do you think? Because having talked to one of them in preparing for the item, you find out maybe they actually have a point. We should perhaps have a larder, a little press maybe, even if it's one little press at home that's always ready in case the lights went out. Might be worth thinking about. Tony McHugh is a survivalist here in Cork, and he's on the phone now. Tony, good morning.
Good morning, PJ.
Tony, I want to ask you straight out to start, why do you think we should be preparing for something, and what is it we should be preparing for?
Well, in general, PJ, I think we should all be preparing for any eventuality that sees us on our own and having to take care of ourselves or our families, i.e. be it weather, bad weather, where you can't get out to the store, or you can't move your car out to get fuel, or you have no electricity in the house, or you may have no water. How are people going to feed themselves, the families, have light, have heat, how to cook, and generally as well, any crisis situation, and especially with the downturn in the world, the way things are going, in case of a breakdown of law and society, where is it, with fuel, we can't get fuel, people are going to go to the stores, going to try and stock up with food. You know what it's like at Christmas, the shelves empty in 24 hours for a holiday weekend. And it's just generally people, for any situation that may merit taking care of yourself, is just to prepare for that.
We're fairly lucky, Tony, though, to live in what is a very modern country. I mean, even last February, when that awful storm Darwin hit, yeah, we were all discommoded for a few hours. I was left without power for 4 or 5 hours at home. But we don't seem to get too many situations like the one you talk about, or the possibilities you talk about.
Well, this is it. But as I say, it's always nice to be prepared. Should you have to take care of yourself and your family, i.e., just feed them, keep them warm, when all the facilities break down, it's nice to be prepared for that.
So, in what way are you prepared now, Tony, day to day?
Well, day to day, I mean, I I have my storage of food, my storage of water, which should do me at home for about 3 months.
3 months worth of water at home?
Yes.
Wow.
It would not all be in the house. It would be in certain locations. The same with the food. That wouldn't be all stored in the house. That would be mainly in the wooded areas where we go. But that's
What kind of food do you keep?
Well, we keep MREs, which would be the military version of meals ready to eat, which have a nearly an indefinite shelf life. Dehydrated foods, stuff like that.
Where do you get them? Do you dehydrate them yourself, or do you buy them prepared, or what?
Well, some of the guys dehydrate them. You can buy them. Two of our members have a store in Macroom where you can buy the MREs. But generally in the supermarket you can buy dehydrated rice, flavoured rices, pastas, tinned goods.
We'd call them non-perishables, I guess.
Non-perishable goods like that.
Yeah.
So, okay, some of them have what they call a shelf life or a sell-by date, but I can assure you they're good for 20 years, most stuff.
And where have you got that stored? In the basement, or where? Or do you have a basement?
Well, I have it stored in various locations. I won't go into details if you don't mind me saying, but I'd have quite a bit of food stored in the house, dehydrated food around the house.
How much? Would you have a couple of weeks, a couple of months?
Well, I'd have 3 months. 3 months at the moment. That would be in the general location of my home.
Right. And do you have particular skills that you practice, or particular routines that you do with your family? Do you have family?
No, I'm living on my own, actually. I'm medically retired, 54-year-old.
Okay.
I have my skills. I can supply heat, I can supply light, I can supply a way of cooking for myself, whether it be at home or whether it be out in the woods. So that's why we all get together in the Irish Survivalist Group, or ISG we call it.
Yeah.
And we just practice our skills and share ideas and new ways of doing things, and keep in contact with each other.
And do you genuinely believe, Tony, that the time is going to come when you're going to need your stash of food or your stash of water?
Well, whether it be for a 2-day period or whether it be for a 2-week period or longer, I hope not. But just in case, it's, as the old saying goes, PJ, it's better to have it and not need it than need and not have it.
Well, that's true. And do you have other principles that you live by? Do you reject, are there things you reject? Like, do you reject the media? Do you reject the internet? Do you reject any things like that? Do you kind of shut other things out of your life?
Oh, good God, no. No. We're just ordinary, everyday people like you and everybody else. It's just an interest we have.
Because there's a kind of I suppose there's probably a misconception that you're all paranoid and running around with tinfoil hats on. I don't wish to be facetious, but that's the picture that's painted of the guy with his cellar full of food and his big tank of water, his little tinfoil hat to keep out the alien radio waves, and that's the image that's out there.
Yeah, we get that of some people, scoffers I call them. Talking to this guy there not long ago actually, and he was saying, well, you're preparing for this, preparing for that. I said, right, you have all electricity at home. So you go home tonight. I said, have you a light in the house? Oh, I think of a torch somewhere, he said. I said, have you candles? Have you heat? Oh, I've central heating. Well, I said, without electricity you're not going to have central heating. Have you a way of heating yourself? Have you a way of cooking for yourself? Have your food put away? You know, have your food like just for the weekend or the week. Most people only have enough food in the cupboard for a week. So you have a week or 10 days supply.
But getting back to what I said to you earlier, Tony, isn't it in modern Ireland, thankfully, highly unlikely that you'd ever want supplies for more than a couple of days?
Well, hopefully we wouldn't need supplies for more than a couple of days. But don't get out of PJ. I mean, if the stores close, I mean, even a bad weather situation, as I said, the stores are going to be empty within 24 hours. People will be hoarding stuff going down. I mean, you know what it's like when there's a power cut. People are running around like headless chickens looking for a candle.
Yeah.
You know?
I will give you that. When the lights went out in February, every shelf and every drawer in my house was raided for a bit of light. I'll give you that much.
Yeah. Well, it's just that it's like years ago, PJ. I mean, I'm sure in your mum's day, you know, she, as I always say, my mum now had a pantry, and every week she'd buy a little bit extra and keep it in the pantry, like for the poor week in those days.
Yeah.
I said this on the TV program, but it's you know, just kind of, it's better to have it, as I say again, and not need it than need it and not have it, especially for young families, people with young families today. You know, they're watching every penny, and I mean, you know, if it's no fuel in your car, you can't go off shopping here, there, and everywhere, especially if the roads are bad. And okay, it'd be only 2 days, PJ, but I mean, you know, elderly people die within 2 days when there's no heating on.
I have to say, Tony, you talk a convincing case. Thanks very much for taking my call.
No problem, PJ. Thank you very much indeed.
The Opinion Line on Cork's 96 FM with
Being ready, survivalists, preppers as they call them in the States. Now in the US, there's, for example, one couple who live in a fortress. They have a stockpile of guns and 25,000 rounds of ammunition and 6 months' supply of food, just in case. There's another prepper in the States who keeps 1,000 fish in his swimming pool in preparation for the apocalypse. Now, you might look at them and say, and remember those fellows used to walk around the high street with their poster, you know, the end is nigh, Armageddon is coming. Betty sends in a text and says, I just got a letter in the door from the Simon community looking for €25 to feed the homeless. And then there's that nutter who you had on a while ago, an absolute disgrace, hoarding all that food. If Armageddon comes, he'll perish anyway, says Betty. That's in response to Tony. Well, Frank Deegan is with the Irish Survivalist Network as well. Frank, is there a difference, good morning to you, is there a difference between what you guys do and the fellow with 1,000 fish in his swimming pool and the couple hoarded up in their fort with 25,000 rounds of ammunition? Is there a difference, or are ye of the same type?
No, I would say, for starters, we're only allowed 50 rounds in this country of ammunition. In America, okay, they're prone to the tornadoes and hurricanes and earthquakes, and they're a bit more extreme than what we do. In general, we're all different mindsets, and we're all come together as one. But my thoughts on it is I'm trying to learn the ways of our forefathers, as in they didn't have supermarkets, shops back in the day, so where did they go for their food? We're teaching some of the young kids that are coming to some of the camps, showing them how to do a bit of foraging to supplement for when they don't have a pizza, or when they don't have electric cookers to cook it on stuff. Our mindset is it's just going back a few years. You know, we're too complacent on technology. If the electricity, we go off for 5 or 6 days down on Cork and Kerry last February. It's fine for a couple of hours for most people, but it gets clear 9 after 12 hours, and it really gets to you after a day or 2 days or 3 days, and it goes to 4 and 5 days. The freezers are empty because there's no electricity. You have to either throw the food out or eat it all. That's my take on it. Tony's take is the very same, but he tends to lean towards a little bit of keep food in supply, dried food, tin food. I do the same, but not as much. I only keep a couple of weeks supply. But
and do you live every day, Frank, by that technique, or is it just that you're preparing for the event? I mean, do you go around heating, or do you go around sort of bringing out your non-perishable packed food every day, or is it just that it's there and ready?
No, we were just chopping up a leg of venison this morning that I got of a friend during the week, because we forgot it, we had it in the fridge, and we said we better freeze that, it's going to go off. No, she's gone out shopping there now, and she come home with the usual shopping. She's my other half, and we don't impose our way of thinking to, you know, get 3 tins of beans instead of one, you know, get 3 bags of sugar instead of one. What we did originally, a couple of years ago, we were sailing, and so we were stocking up for 3 months at a time on the boat, because we'd be sailing, say, across the Atlantic, so there's no shops there. That's the mindset. I've always been like that since the since I was at sea in the 90s and the 80s. It's just that it's always have an extra bit of food. We didn't now, in fairness, back in the 90s, we did run out of food when we were at sea on the way down to Yugoslavia, and we ran out of water, and that was on a modern ship. We weren't prepared. At that time, we were just delivering it, but nobody was thinking long term, and just coincidence happened that the war broke out in Yugoslavia that landed us in Stoke, and we actually ran out of food. We were hungry.
Something that struck me, Frank, about Tony, and just thinking about him there during the break, when I asked him where he keeps it stored, he went all cagey on me. I mean, is there a touch of, about some members of your group, is there a touch of conspiracy theorist that if I know where his food is stored, I'll come and steal it, or stored, I'll come and steal it?
There's a little bit of that, a little bit of paranoia. Obviously, he doesn't keep all his eggs in one basket. He has them, if people do find out that Tony has a store of food, they're going to come and ask him, can I have some, and then they come back a few hours later for more and more and more. But he's just been cautious and saying, okay, well, I don't have any, but there's a little bit here and that's it. It's been proven in America, in the case where that Hurricane Katrina and New Orleans, people were going, they went to desperate measures to get food. So if they know that Tony is a bit of a prepper, they're going to knock on his door and say, right, can I have your condensed milk and can I have your water supply and all that.
Mm-hmm. Do you really believe, though, I mean, you mentioned Hurricane Katrina and other things like earthquakes, tornadoes. Thankfully, in this neck of the woods, Frank, they're mercifully rare. We get a bad afternoon like Storm Darwin, or a few days like we got in February, and we'll probably get a few more days in the winter and the early spring to come, but we don't get it all that bad, really, do we?
We're exceptionally lucky. Our country, say in England as well, we're exceptionally lucky. We have mild winters and we have mild summers. So that's saying we don't need to build bunkers for tornadoes or hurricanes, whereas the Americans would. If you're living over there in Tornado Alley, I'd be building a bunker anyway. Nuclear, the closest thing we have to nuclear is Sellafield over there, and this ISIS crowd now, they are potential to make dirty bombs over in England or in Europe, and with the weather from over there coming to us, we're targets at the end of the day. I don't worry about it. I don't lose any sleep at over, but I know what to do in the event of a dirty bomb going off in Manchester, for example.
Yeah. Would you be recommending, for example, Tony, or sorry, Frank, to me, to Deirdre, to Brenda here, that just have, is it a little press even in the kitchen or somewhere that's just kept full of non-perishable dry goods, that in case the lights went out, you have a torch, you have batteries, you have candles, you've got some non-perishable food, you've got maybe a couple of litres of water.
It doesn't cost anything to add a few extra tin of beans or a few candles. It doesn't cost anything at all. Basically, you have them all over the house. And what we do is we have them all in one area, so we know they're there.
Yeah.
Tins of food, they go out a day, so you can use them up and replenish them. That's all we do. We're totally mad altogether. I don't have wants to supply food at home.
Have we become, though, too reliant, like you said, on things like the freezer, the microwave, the internet, the mobile phone? Are we too reliant?
The internet it's a great thing in one sense. We have the Irish Survivors group on Facebook, and we wouldn't have all met only for that. But at the same time, when we go into the woods, we don't let any of the young kids, they go on their video games straight away, and they're the generation which had no idea what it's like to go out and play on a skateboard. You and myself and Tony, we all played outside. We didn't come in until it was dark.
Yeah.
Kids, this way the kids are now, they're in playing video games as soon as they get home from school.
Are our kids ill-prepared? Are our kids particularly ill-prepared, Frank?
Totally ill-prepared. They wouldn't have a clue. For a weekend, you throw them out in the woods, there you go, lads, there's a tin of beans there, and open them. They would be stuck. They wouldn't have a clue, I guarantee it. And what we try to do as a collective group, when we come out, we have a lot of women, we have a lot of kids coming, a lot of teenagers are really enjoying it, because we get to show them how to, say, light a fire in the wood without using matches, or using sticks, or we could do a bit of Bear Grylls using flint, or we can use Stone Age methods of using stone and flint and steel, or we can use an ordinary cigarette lighter. It really just, we don't have to be roughing it.
Is it a hobby? Is it a philosophy? What is it?
I really enjoy meeting up the lads every 6 weeks because we have a great crack, and we have a great crack then on the net as well when we're talking about putting up the 4-wheel grass and what we've done last week. And now we were canoeing, regular Canadian canoeing, and we're heading down to Killarney again in 2 weeks' time, a bunch of us, and we'll do the lakes to Killarney all the way down to Killarney. And this is our third time doing it this summer alone. So I mean, it's a great outdoor activity.
And when you go out on one of those, there's no phone, there's no Facebook, there's no Twitter, nothing.
Nothing. You have your phone, yeah, but if you want to use it, we generally try to turn the phones off and all communications off. Yeah, we have it there for emergencies and whatever. Try and keep down to a minimum the technology. Saying that as well, we have our CD radios. We bought them out, we were off the dust from the 80s, and we were playing around with them again. If the net went down and communications went down all over the place, we could play around with them and we would communicate with each other. That stuff. We're bringing back old ways, old methods that we used to do back in the day. And nothing more, nothing less. We're not going on tinfoil anymore, on the head anymore. Some people out there might, but none of their group as far as I know.
Where can people find out a bit more, Frank?
Irish Survivalist Group on Facebook, ISG. We have the canoeing parties into the world survival on Facebook as well. I mean, there's a website coming up there shortly. Ridge, you'll be talking to Ridge. He has a shop in Macroom. He's storing MREs, meals ready to eat, all kinds of survival equipment, tents, sleeping bags. We use hammocks and tarps because it's cooler. Bear Grylls, I think, is a total showman. There was a great photograph of him sitting with the camera crew, and he was eating pizza, and then behind him was where he's eating, he has spiders and jars ready to eat and all that kind of stuff. But there's a lot of set, but we go on we would follow like Ray Mears. He'd be a total naturalist.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, and you know what? Before the invention of the blue plaster, as you were speaking earlier, we used to use wood urchins, that's fungus hanging out of trees, cut a slit off them and wrap them around your finger.
What's he called, Frank?
A wood urchin. They're mushrooms hanging out of that grow out of trees.
And you'd wrap it around your finger if you cut your finger?
Yeah, that's the way they used to do it back in the day. And we still do. The World War I used to use that. Stagnum moss to use instead of cotton wool. That's moss that you find in most forests. All that kind of old school stuff is what we teach ourselves.
Well, I have to say, I looked last night at some of the American prepper blogs, and some of them you're kind of questioning the sanity of whoever's writing this. But talking to yourself, you make it sound just like an ordinary hobby.
It's a hobby. I think it's a hobby, and it's a very useful hobby when the lights go off.
When? You always say when rather than if.
Well, it's going to go off at some stage. It's a guarantee, but it mightn't be in my lifetime. It doesn't bother me. If it does go off tomorrow, if there's a meteor or something like that, or we had a snowstorm, you can't get it. Back in the 70s and 80s, we had snow up to the ditches and above, and we had it for nearly, a couple of months. So you tell me how people are going to get to the shops back then, and when your engines freeze up. My engine froze in 2009, 2010. And I never saw it before because we hit -10, -15.
We did.
I wasn't prepared for that now. I had to walk everywhere, but we did have a supply of food here in the house. Our water froze as well, and you see, that only happened a couple of years ago, and apparently this kind of weather is on the increase. So much for global warming.
And
then you have the Ebola. There's these viruses coming out of Africa. Okay, I'm not too worried about that. I think the World Health Organization should catch that one. They seem to have the antivirus for that. Fuel is another thing. If we run out of fuel worldwide, then people are going to be very fuel on running their car into town to get their supplies. So they're going to have to start growing stuff at home. Most of us in the group have our own little gardens, and we have our vegetables growing with potatoes and carrots and peas and whatever. It's back to old ways of doing things. That's all we do, and it's a great hobby. I find it's a great hobby. We get out and we meet new people, and as I said, there's a great click there when we're together and we have a good crack and a good laugh, a few beers, and we've cooked pizzas in the forest.
So you're not entirely going by the script.
God, no, we're not savages. One of the lads in Dublin now, in fairness, Dara, he came down when he bought a load of pizzas out of Aldi or Super Value, and they were frozen, going soft. So We cooked 6 of them one time, and it was the best pizza I've ever had.
I bet it was. Frank, thanks for the call this morning.
Thanks very much.
It's a very interesting conversation. He mentioned a shop in Macroom where you can buy some of this survival stuff. A place I'd love to take a little wander and have a look at. Reg has that shop. Reg, good morning.
Good morning.
What kind of a shop is it? Is it? It sounds to me like a bit more than Army Surplus or something, is it?
Oh yeah, very much so. There's a few Army Surplus stores in Ireland, but with Munster Preppers and the Irish Survivalist Group, I saw there was a need for a specialised store, really.
What do you sell?
What do you want?
Really, that broad, is it?
Say again?
Is that broad?
Yes, very much so. Anything to do with outdoor pursuits, anything to do with surviving and prepping and bushcraft, I try and stock as much as I can.
Mm-hmm. And these MREs, they call them?
Yeah, meals ready to eat.
What's in them?
There's a famous company called Mountain House that do dried food. So you can buy things from a packet for one meal up to they do 3 year supplies. So you can, and they're 25-year lifespan. I do British military rations.
What's in them? I mean, Reg, like, if I took one of them out in a packet and went to eat it, what would I find?
There's wide variety. Nearly all types of meals are all frozen. They've just started doing sweets as well, as in puddings and breakfast as well, all freeze dried. So it's all very lightweight, all very long lasting food.
And what would I do to get it ready then? I mean, in the event of, as Frank says, the lights going out, what would I do?
Boil some water and pour it in the pack.
That all?
That's all.
It doesn't sound particularly appetizing, I'd have to say.
There's most of them are very palatable. There's one or two that I've had where they're a bit, they're not the nicest of food, but when you're in and you haven't eaten for 3 or 4 days, it'll be the nicest thing you've ever eaten.
That's probably the case. Do you think
the military rations are very good quality, and I also do like fishing rations, which are wet meals. So all you do is put them in boiling water and tear the packet open and eat.
Do you feel the day is coming, Reg, when the shop will be overrun? I mean, now do we have a disaster of some kind coming, or am I sitting here sort of in a false sense of delusion, thinking that Ireland is a safe place?
Yeah, you sat there in a false sense of delusion.
Tell me more.
All you have to do is turn on the mainstream media. I know a lot of it's fear-mongering and propaganda, etc. But these threats are real. Ebola exists. ISIS exists. All you have to do is look across the water at England and Manchester, Burnley, places like that, where these people are taking over. Why wouldn't it come to Ireland? It's only a short step away.
Who's taking over?
Well, the Islamic State, they're calling it at the moment. But, that could be a worry. All you have to do is turn on YouTube and have a look, and you'll see that some of these places are getting worrying for a lot of people over there.
This is little Ireland out on the edge of Europe. None of these people, they've no interest in us, Reg.
Just like little Ukraine on the edge of Europe.
No, Ukraine was always bordering Russia, for example, and all that. But we're no one gives a toss about us at the end of the day.
No, exactly. So what? So are you going to rely on the state? Are you going to rely on the police or the fire brigade, who are all going to be looking after their own families?
They do a super job, though, Reg. You can't argue with them.
Well, if something really bad happens, if you were a policeman, would you stay at home and look after your family, or would you be out looking after everybody else? Do you know?
So again, getting back to the question I asked Tony and Frank, obviously you'd be recommending us all, for example, to have a press or a drawer or even a box somewhere in the house with a bit of ration in it. Is that it?
Well, not really. I don't care. As long as people I care about and love are taken care of, everybody else will just have to learn to look after themselves.
Yeah, but you'd recommend it, wouldn't you?
Yes.
If you believe it, you'd recommend it to others.
Well, yes, to a degree, but people have to make their own minds up. I'm not here to put other people's hands. I'm here to look after mine and my friends and my loved ones, you know.
Okay, where's the shop if you wanted to have a look?
The shop in King Street, Macroom.
Okay. And what's it called?
The Irish Prepper and Bushcraft Store.
Do you know what? Next time I'm coming through Macroom, I'll pop in and have a look. Reg, thanks a lot. Talk to you.
My pleasure. Have a good day.
Take care. Bye-bye.
The Opinion Line on Cork's 96 FM.
With Female Magazine, essential reading for the modern woman. Inside today's
The Opinion Line with PJ Coogan, 1850-715-996. Cork's 96 FM.
Talking about survivalism or preppers or whatever you want to call them, I'm kind of torn here. I'm torn between whether Tony and Frank and Reg are speaking a good gospel that maybe I should listen to, and whether they're absolutely stark raving mad. I don't know. Eugene, good morning.
Hello, how's PJ?
I'm very well. What do you think?
Well, the lads are not the bonkers brigade and very far from it. You know, okay, you can talk about, you nearly answered your own question at the introduction of this, when you said that the Americans are balmy. And then you said, well, maybe not now, Obama's after declaring war on Islam.
But I was mentioning a fella who has a swimming pool breeding 1,000 fish in it. I mean, there's something a little bit sort of off your rocker about that, isn't there?
Maybe not. You know, like, my biggest fear of something happening to that extent is something hitting us from outer space.
Oh, come on, Eugene.
Yes, PJ. Yeah. Yeah. You're going to say, Jesus, he's off his meds again. Let's put it this way, PJ. There was a large asteroid passed between us and the moon on the 4th of September.
Yeah.
It was only spotted on the 2nd. Oh, no, that's 2 days to prepare if it was going to hit Earth.
And here's the thing, if it was, it was. There's nothing we could have done.
It depends on where it hits.
On where it hits. Yeah, well, we see, the problem is we can't move the Earth to avoid it. It's coming, Eugene.
But like, our saving grace here, PJ, is the Earth is a moving target. In the sense, like, you were in 86 this morning, I suppose, since about 8 o'clock, are you?
7, yeah.
Yeah, 7. Well, I will actually tell you, you're after travelling further than from here to the moon, since you came into work this morning.
Right.
That is the velocity of the Earth going around the Sun. So we are a moving target, which protects us to a certain extent. But if you look at that large meteor that exploded in Russia there a couple of years back.
That was quite a long time ago, wasn't it, in Siberia?
I know that was the one in 1903. That was a huge one. No, but the one there that's in Russia there about 3 years ago.
Okay.
Remember the sun, remember it was all over YouTube, there are people after picking it up on their cameras.
Oh, I think I do remember the one you're talking, yeah.
No, just imagine, PJ, that was only small. But if that had to hit the Inniscarra Dam, what shape would Cork City be in? If it had to hit one of the main electrical power places, then it would have destroyed it. If it hit a nuclear plant in France, like when we had Chernobyl, we found evidence of nuclear fallout here in Donegal. Now, France is a hell of more nearer to us than
So do you prepare, Eugene? Have you got stuff stashed?
I have a small bit. I wouldn't be as prepared as what the lads are, but yeah, I would last about 3 weeks.
Good man. All right, Eugene. Thanks for the call.
Okay,
Eugene reckons we should be aware of the danger. There are many reasons why Eugene is one of our favourite callers. Back on Open Line after news.